Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. It's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. So today I'm going to cover the second half of February 2022 and focus on the full moon that's going to be in Leo. I will finish off with each of the ascendants and or sun signs at the end of the video and briefly go into where I think this full moon in Leo will affect you in your chart. Just a few housekeeping things. I do actually have now audio and podcasts that are available. I'll put the link below, but you can get me on Spotify for all my YouTube videos if you would like to listen to me instead of just watching and listening to me. The other thing is next month in March, I will actually be doing all 12 signs. I will do the same intro for each of them, but then I will focus a good 5 to 10 minutes on each of your signs for the month of March. So that's a new thing for me to do. All right, let's get to the full moon here in Leo. So the full moon in Leo is at 27 degrees Leo, 59 minutes. It's at 8:57 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 16th of February 2022. So there's a number of things that are going on with this full moon, but just as a reminder, a full moon always has the moon in a sign, this one being Leo, and then the sun's going to be in the opposite sign, and in this case it's going to be Aquarius. And I think it's important to remember that the sun is in its detriment in Aquarius, which is where it will be at this full moon in Leo. So this already sets up a dynamic of potentially things not being the way you want them to be. Now, in particular, Leo as the Leo moon represents, generally speaking, the king, the queen, and of course you can generalize that to other types of people in power. But it also represents fame and that kind of thing too. So maybe our Hollywood royalty too may be up for some kind of just some kind of challenges that they may have to get over. And the reason I say that is because we've got this full moon in Leo squaring the north nodes and the south nodes of the moon. So this certainly has a king or queen exerting their power, but how powerful they'll be is yet to be seen at this full moon. It's certainly going to be setting off some desire for someone, or maybe more than one person, in a position of power to take control. And certainly we do have, Vladimir Putin right now, who is actually certainly making noises and rattling sabers to suggest that something may happen there. And certainly for him, I looked up his chart, and actually he's got his midheaven and Pluto conjunct around the 21-22 degree mark. And then his north nodes of the moon are in Aquarius, of course. So that then sets up an opposition with the moon and a conjunction with the sun. So I think it's kind of interesting to see that he will probably play into this full moon on the 16th of February, where something probably will happen with regards to him trying to exert his power. I'm not sure if he's going to be successful though, and I'll just leave it at that. The other thing that's happening here that's important to remember is that this full moon is actually at a very close degree point. Remember, 59 minutes becomes another degree, bringing it 27 up to 28. And if we say this is almost 28 degrees of Leo, recall that on the 21st of August 2017, we had a total eclipse occurring at 28 degrees of Leo. So for all of us, we need to look back, probably around the time period of, I would say, August and September of 2017, to see what may have come up. Now, this was a new moon, so it would have been a new start. And in many ways, this full moon in Leo kind of brings things to a bit of a conclusion because it's at the same degree point of whatever did get initiated at that point back in August 2017. So look back to that. You can also just look in your chart to see where 28 degrees of Leo is specifically, but then also the opposite sign, 28 degrees of Aquarius. If you've got anything at or around these degrees, I use really tight orbs when I'm doing any kind of predicting. I like to keep to exact or 1 or 2 degrees to really say there's going to be effect. Otherwise, a lot of these things can go by without really you feeling anything and getting any major effect. So this is activating that total eclipse that happened in August. And certainly if we remember, just geographically, that eclipse went across the whole USA. So this then just on a general basis and a mundane basis says that probably there's going to be some kind of big focus on the USA right now, especially with regards to the king or queen that's in a position of power. So I'm going to stay tuned up for that to see what happens here in the US. All right, so that's the full moon in Leo. We also have, Pluto continuing to trine the north nodes of the moon in Taurus and Jupiter sextile Uranus. So both these transits are absolutely fabulous in their own. So Pluto really, when it's trining the north nodes of the moon, is really giving us easy energy to put new things in place on our destiny path. And then with Jupiter sextile Uranus, this is just bringing up potentially really new scientific inventions, new discoveries in outer space, for instance. Maybe that new telescope that's been put up will be producing some interesting things out there that are outside our realm right now that we've not been able to see. That may come now more into focus for sure. Right, let's go to the 18th of February. Here we've got the sun now ingressing into Pisces. So this is just going to be joining up with 2 other planets, right? It's going to be joining up with Jupiter eventually and of course with Neptune. So both these 3 different, the luminary and then the 2 planets shimmering away in Pisces certainly will be starting to bring in a lot of compassion, a lot of focus on things like our waters, our seas, spirituality for sure, and really a bigger push inside ourselves to listen to our intuition. And so I would encourage that certainly for the latter half of February, which is what I'm talking about, right the way through into March. Our intuition may be operating at a high level, and certainly for Pisces that's going to be true. The 21st of February we have the moon at 12 degrees of Scorpio on Pisces axis. And this is actually exerting a really nice effect with regards to helping us understand the deeper aspects of the spirituality that we have within ourselves, and maybe also accenting that whole the whole idea of listening to our inner selves, our intuition. On the 22nd of February, the same moon is going to be conjuncting the south nodes. And so here we're looking at 26 degrees of Scorpio, and it'll be opposing the north nodes of the moon in Taurus. So this really says, a lot of times the moon represents the people out there, and I would say that a lot of us are going to be getting the idea of the fact that we have to be letting go of some things here. And in Scorpio, we're talking about obsessive, possessive stuff. I don't want to give something up here. This belongs to me. And this sort of deep attachment, I guess, is what it boils down to. On the 26th of February, we have the moon now conjunct Venus and Mars at 24 degrees of Capricorn. And what's interesting, for those that do get up early in the morning, I would suggest that you actually look to the southeast sky just before the sun begins to rise, and you should be able to spot the moon. And then once you've spotted the moon, just look for Venus and Mars lining up with it, because both Venus and Mars now are rising in the morning. And I think that's of significance as well, because this really speaks to energies that are helping us start our day, right? And with Venus and Mars in Capricorn, we're really speaking to being discriminatory in our love relationships, but it also speaks to being a little more serious about our money, about how we value ourselves, and a little more serious about any kind of love relationship that we may have. Going back to the full moon in Leo, I wanted to cover the Sabian symbols. I covered this in my last video as well because I thought it was actually quite significant. So what I'm going to say next really is kind of a general message with regards to how you can look at this full moon in Leo and use it to your advantage. So the actual symbol at 28 degrees of Leo talks to this: many little birds on a limb in a big tree. So this suggests that at this Leo full moon, there will be a wide number of possibilities and potentials. But of course, having many choices can be exciting for sure, but it can also be confusing. So I would say at this full moon in Leo, focus is needed to narrow down possibilities worth pursuing. And that ties in also with the conjunction of Venus and Mars on the 26th of February. So use this latter half of February to maybe make a list, or do 2 columns or 3 columns or 4 columns that actually help you look at what possibilities you have and potentials, and then make a decision towards the end of February coming into March of what really is worth pursuing right now in your life, especially as it pertains to where you should be going next on your destiny path. All right, so what I'm going to cover next, just very briefly, are each of the signs and ascendants. So we'll start with you, Leo. So Leo, it's in your first house. And I would say that this full moon is going to be challenging for you. And I would say that the best thing that you can do is certainly be the good queen or the good king, but also realize that sometimes, it's not worth fighting the battle. And sometimes you can win the war by not fighting a battle and letting it go. And that's what I got intuitively for you for this full moon in Leo. But certainly if something needs to be brought to a conclusion in your life, it's going to happen here. Because we've got the square happening with the North Nodes of Destiny, this is a door shutting. This is a book closing abruptly, and there's no turning back. So for those Leos that really need to have something end, look towards mid-February as things just ending and a clear path opening up for you, possibly with many possibilities ahead, where you've got to make some decisions too. So for Virgo, it's in your 12th house. So this says, I would say, some secret may be revealed that you were not aware of. It can also mean, though, and I do say this a lot when I talk about the 12th house, that you just need some real rest. And so for those Virgos that have been overdoing it or have had ill health, I would say that really take the latter half of February to take care of yourself, take care of your health, and really get some much needed rest. For Libra, it is your 11th house. And the 11th house really refers to your friends as well as your groups that you belong to, your hopes and wishes. So this could see you maybe wrestling a bit with how you can bring your authentic self into expressing yourself with your friends and the groups you belong to. So it may have you deciding you want to join some new groups and bring in some new friends. Perhaps friends that you look at or look up to, you now start saying, those are the people I want in my life right now. Good luck, Libra. So for Scorpio, it is in your 10th house. Generally speaking, the 10th house is of career. So this could have some kind of ending for you, whether you choose the ending in a career or something from the outside forces some ending in the career. But of course, with every ending, there's a new beginning. So this may be you actually making a decision that for your next steps, you want to have a whole new career. And that's what you start working on, because those squares can also mean working on something to make it happen. For Sagittarius, it's your 9th house. 9th house is about travel. It's about higher education. It is the law. It's publishing. It's foreign people, foreign things. So all these things could be up for you, Sagittarius. But intuitively, what I get is that you're really being asked here to authentically express your higher self. And for those Sagittarius that have either struggled with this or have not worked at expressing their higher selves, you're going to get some people coming in here asking you to do that, or situations coming in where you're going to have to take the high road. You could also decide to do some higher education at this point, and of course publish something maybe on the books too. All right. When we look at Capricorn, it is your 8th house. Capricorn, 8th house is really good for you because the 8th house is all about money, generally speaking. It's your psychological self as well. You too could have a little bit of a challenge or struggle with, I think, the psychological aspects of yourself, where you may get some indication, maybe through an event, maybe through somebody just saying something, where you're not expressing your authentic self. And you decide that you need to change something inside yourself. And typically what you can do, Capricorn, is to maybe just get some positive affirmations out and start reminding yourself of how positive things can be inside your head. Because as you do that, you send that message out to the universe, and that universe brings those positive things back in for you. For Aquarius, it is your 7th house of partnerships and clients. It's the other. You're also hosting Saturn here too, although Saturn's not conjunct the Sun here. It is in the same sign as the Sun, which is Aquarius. So I would say here for you, Aquarius, it may have you, I think, really reviewing whether or not the partnerships you're in, now whether this is a business partnership or a marriage partnership, where you're asking yourself, maybe you feel you need more freedom. I mean, Aquarius is a sign that likes freedom. It likes to look at friends as opposed to lovers. It's more of an intellectual sign. So it could have you saying, I don't know if this person is intellectual enough for me, or I need to break free here in some way. And it doesn't mean that you have to end something, but you may have to adjust something with that square that's happening with the North Nodes in order for you to continue on your own destiny path that represents your authentic self. Good luck, Aquarius. So for Pisces, this is your 6th house of day-to-day work and health. So I was thinking that perhaps some little thing comes up with regards to your health. Because the Sun rules Leo, and this is very much associated with your health, the Sun inside yourself, I really thought that there may be some small thing that comes up for you, Pisces, that you may think nothing of, but I would suggest that something does come up that's small regarding your health, that you immediately take care of it, because that could be the tap on your shoulder, that little heads up of this is a small thing right now, that could potentially become bigger. Now the other thing too is that you may be struggling with something in your day-to-day job where you don't feel you're expressing your authentic self. And the reason I keep bringing authentic self up is because that, of course, is what Leo is all about at its core. So you could just be making some decisions here yourself, Pisces, where you say, you know what, this day-to-day job isn't working for me anymore, and I need to express my authentic self, and I'm going to start taking steps towards that. And the steps towards that may be around the 26th of February, where we've got this whole moon conjuncting both Venus and Mars, giving you easy opportunity to exert yourself. Good luck, Pisces. So for Aries, it's your 5th house. And the 5th house actually is ruled by Leo. So this kind of is a little bit more in your favor from the standpoint of Leo moon ruling the 5th house. But this has things like, again, your authentic self being up for review. You've got Chiron here as well, although Chiron is not conjunct your, or trying this actual aspect of the full moon. It still is operating. So I'm feeling that this has something to do with some kind of inner healing for you, and for you too, asking yourself, am I expressing myself creatively and authentically through what I'm doing? You may decide to actually start your own business at this time. And with the square, you're using the square to overcome things, obstacles, say, that help you put this new business in place, or maybe even consulting, where you feel that you're better able to express who you really are. If you do have children, there could be some challenges with children at this time. All right, good luck, Aries. For Taurus, it's your 4th house of home. So this could just have you saying something as simple as, I really don't feel this home that I've created really supports me, or is that oasis that I'm supposed to be going back to make me feel literally at home. You could say decide to do some feng shui. That's a very creative thing to do. Or maybe purchase some crystals to put in your home to bring in some good chi, that type of thing as well. There's lots available, certainly online, Taurus, that you could look at to improve things in your home. But at its negative, you could have some tyrant, king or queen, in your home that you have to deal with. And Taurus, you're a fixed sign that does not get riled up too easily. But people do know that you've got your limits, and it may be at this time that someone in the home has to be told, and you have to put your foot down. Good luck, Taurus. For Gemini, it's your third house of communications, and of course, Gemini, you rule the third house. So this is positive too for you. But this has maybe some awkward moments with regards to communications. It could have you taking some sort of small course of some sort, where you improve the way you communicate. Your siblings could become more important too, or your neighborhood, where there's lots of communications going back and forth. But with that square, it might mean that you have to, you might have to deal with some supposed kings or queens that want to exert their power over you. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be all disastrous, but it may mean that you have to stand up for yourself, Gemini, and push back a little bit from someone that really has no rule over you at all, and you may have to say something. Good luck, Gemini. All right, so we're going to end up with you, Cancer. And Cancer, it's in your second house. So I would say here, you could have a combination of things happening. The second house, relatively speaking, represents the money that you earn. And I would say you may have an opportunity to actually work with someone who's famous, or a king or queen, where they're saying, I can give you lots more money here, but you're going to have to incorporate these other things in your day-to-day job. So this could be a real opportunity for you, Cancer, where as long as you're okay with adjusting a few things in the work that you do, you could bring some fame to yourself, especially with regards to your destiny path. But it means letting go of something that you're doing and then taking on the mantle of something else. Take care, Cancer. All right, everybody, that wraps up this full moon in Leo and the latter half of February 2022. I'm sending everybody lots of love and a lot of positive energy. I really wanted to end with the fact that March is going to be, I think, outstanding with regards to so many things working out for so many people. And I'll get into a lot of that later on, but I'll just leave you with a little teaser. We are going to have, basically at the end of the first week of March, we will have both Venus and Mars conjunct at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And of course, this is going to activate that very important cycle that started in December 2020, and that was the Jupiter-Saturn cycle. There's other things to talk about as well, but I'm going to leave that to my next video, which I'm really looking forward to as I'm doing it for each of the individual 12 signs. Please leave me your comments. You know, I always love hearing from everybody. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you soon.